All right, let's dive into one of the most incredible stories in all of human biology, the journey a newborn takes from the perfect, controlled world of the uterus to surviving out here with the rest of us.
I mean, think about it. In the blink of an eye, every single system that was supported by the placenta, breathing, warmth, food, all of it is suddenly shut off. From that moment on, this tiny human has to do it all for themselves.
So the big question is, how on earth do they pull it off? How does this little person navigate what's probably the most dangerous journey of their entire life? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
To make sense of it all, we're going to look at this as 5 critical missions, kind of like a survival checklist. They've got to take that first breath, completely reroute their blood flow, fight off the cold, get their fuel and waste systems online, and start building their defenses. Let's jump right into mission number 1.
Okay, mission 1. This is the big one, the one that has to happen immediately, taking that first breath. You got to remember, in the womb, their lungs were basically just little water balloons. Now, all that fluid has to get out and air has to get in, and there is no time to waste.
And you know, the way they're born actually makes a huge difference here. A baby born vaginally gets this massive squeeze coming through the birth canal, which literally wrings out a ton of that lung fluid. But a C-section baby, they don't get that squeeze. And that's exactly why they're at a higher risk for having some fluid left behind, leading to a condition you will definitely see called transient tachypnea of the newborn, or TTN. So what actually flips the switch and makes them breathe? It's not just one thing, it's this perfect storm of 4 triggers. First, you've got the chemical trigger. Oxygen drops, CO2 rises, and it sends a panic signal to the brain saying, hey, breathe. Then there's the mechanical part. After that chest squeeze, it recoils like a spring, pulling in that first bit of air. Third is the thermal shock. Going from a cozy 98.6 degrees to a cool delivery room is a real jolt. And finally, you have all the sensory input, being touched, dried, hearing voices. It's all part of the big wake-up call.
And this is why one of the very first, most important things you do as a nurse is to get that baby dried off and put them skin to skin on their parent. It's so simple, but it's brilliant. You're hitting 2 missions with 1 action. That rubbing and drying provides the sensory stimulation for breathing, and the skin-to-skin contact starts that critical fight against heat loss. It's a powerhouse intervention.
Okay, so the lungs are working. Now for mission 2. The entire circulatory system has to do a complete 180. We're talking about a massive plumbing reroute that has to happen in just a few minutes. It's honestly incredible.
See, before birth, the baby had these 3 amazing bypasses, or shunts. They were basically shortcuts that sent blood away from the lungs and the liver, because the placenta was doing all that work. But the second that cord is clamped and the baby takes its first breath, the pressure in the whole system changes. It's like flipping a series of switches that slams those shunts shut, forcing the blood to go to the lungs for the very first time. Okay, here's a little clinical thinking question for you. What happens if that newborn struggles a bit and their oxygen levels dip? Well, those shunts we just talked about, they can actually pop back open. This causes a really serious condition called persistent fetal circulation, where blood starts bypassing the lungs again. So the big takeaway for you as a nurse, keeping that baby well oxygenated is absolutely crucial to make that new circulatory route stick. All right, on to mission number 3, and this one is a constant battle. Fighting the cold. Inside the womb, it's a perfect temperature-controlled spa. But the second they're born, they're wet and they're in a much cooler room. They can lose heat terrifyingly fast. Thermoregulation isn't just about comfort. It is truly a matter of life and death. A newborn loses heat in 4 main ways, and your job is to block every single one of them. You've got evaporation from wet skin, so we dry them immediately. There's conduction from cold surfaces, so we never put them on a cold scale. Convection is heat loss from drafts, so we keep them away from vents. And radiation is losing heat to a cold object nearby, like a window. 4 pathways, 4 simple nursing interventions. And why are we so obsessed with this? Because cold stress kicks off a dangerous chain reaction. To stay warm, the baby burns more oxygen, which can lead to hypoxia. This can mess with lung surfactant, causing respiratory distress. They also burn through their sugar stores, leading to hypoglycemia. It just goes to show how one problem quickly becomes many problems. So this is your mission right here. You have to be a detective for the early signs of cold stress. We're talking cool skin, lethargy, maybe some funny breathing. These signs can be subtle. Your job is to spot them and act immediately. Get them skin to skin, put them under a warmer, and stop that cascade before it spirals. Okay, breathing is good, circulation is rerouted, and we're keeping them warm. Now for mission 4, getting the fuel and waste management systems up and running. The liver and the GI tract, which have been pretty chill for 9 months, suddenly have a ton of work to do. All right, pull out your mental highlighter for this one, because this is a number you absolutely must know for the NCLEX and for your practice. 40. A blood sugar below 40 milligrams per deciliter in the first 24 hours is hypoglycemia. That's why we're so vigilant with those heel sticks on at-risk babies. It's not just a routine check. It's a critical intervention to protect their brain.
Next up, jaundice. For your exams and for the real world, the key is all about the timing. If that yellowing starts to appear after the first 24 hours, that's usually physiologic jaundice, a normal part of the process. But, and this is a big but, if you see jaundice within the first 24 hours, that is a huge red flag. That's considered pathologic jaundice, and it is never, ever normal.
This brings us to a golden rule of newborn nursing. Memorize this. Jaundice on day 1 is pathologic until proven otherwise. You don't wait and see, you act. You report it, you start the investigation, because it could be something serious. Now let's talk about something that new parents obsess over. Poop. You will get so many questions about this, and it's important. It tells us a lot. So for your parent teaching, just remember the basics. Breastfed poop is usually yellow, seedy, and frequent. Formula-fed poop is a bit firmer, more pale yellow or light brown, and less frequent. Knowing this helps you assess the baby and calm a lot of anxiety. Okay, another quick clinical scenario for you. You're caring for a newborn who is 36 hours old and still hasn't passed that first dark terry meconium stool. What's going through your head? Well, some little alarm bells should be ringing. Why? Because almost every baby passes meconium in the first 48 hours. If they don't, you have to start thinking about a potential blockage. It's definitely something you need to report. All right, we're on to our final mission, building the defenses. This covers the baby's immune system, which is pretty weak starting out, and also their behavioral states, which are really our best clues into how their brain is doing.
Newborns have 6 different states of awareness, but there is one that is pure gold. It's called the quiet alert state. The baby's eyes are open, they're calm, they're just soaking in the world. This is the absolute best time for feeding, for making eye contact, for bonding. When you see a baby in this state, point it out to the parents. You're teaching them how to read their baby's cues.
So when you boil it all down, what's your job during this whole incredible transition? It really comes down to 3 things. First, you assess. You are constantly watching and listening, figuring out what's normal and what's not. Second, you intervene. You act fast to help with breathing, keep them warm, and get them fed. And third, you educate. You are empowering parents with the knowledge they need to care for this new little person. We'll end with this thought. In this incredibly fragile period with so much changing at once, what is the single most important thing a nurse can observe? The truth is, there isn't just one. The most critical observation isn't a single vital sign or lab value. It's the whole picture. It's your ability to see how all these missions are connected, telling the complete, amazing story of a newborn's first hours of life.